Most people who have visited the Academy of Sciences have only seen a small sliver of what we do. Hidden behind closed doors, the Academy houses 500 million specimens that are not all on display. Most of these specimens were collected over the course of 100 years from various Academy expeditions. Preserving these specimens allow us to observe everything from their size and shape to bone structure and composition. But before we dive into what the collections are and why we have them, let's take a look at how these collections began. On the morning of April 16, 1906, a giant earthquake and subsequent fire wrecked San Francisco, destroying almost everything in the Academy and leaving the scientists in dire need of new specimens. Luckily, 8 scientists and 3 crew members had already left for the Galapagos Islands and western Mexico in 1905 on an expedition that would save the museum's collections. Although originally the expedition was meant to last for only a few months, the scientists were so engrossed in their work that they did not return for another year and a half. Fortunately, they returned just after the Academy had been destroyed, so their 70,000 specimens became the foundation of the new collections.
The Galapagos finches have been a valuable collection for a long time. We have one of the largest collections of birds from the Galapagos, including more than 4,000 finches from the islands. So that collection has been used by researchers for many years, both in evolutionary studies of Galapagos birds as they evolve, and also in more recent studies looking at some of the viruses that are found on the island.
The collections also allow us to understand the past.
There was a researcher named Patty Parker who was working on avian pox in live birds in the Galapagos. And of course, one of the questions you have when you're looking at an island environment is how did something like a virus get to this island environment? So she used our collection to look back at specimens and see which ones had avian pox. So she looked through all 4,000 specimens, found the ones with avian pox, and was able to use the date and the location to determine when avian pox arrived on the Galapagos. In addition to that, we allowed her to take a tiny skin sample from the dried specimens of the pox lesion and was able to amplify the genetic material of the avian pox virus. And 100 years later, she was able to say that avian pox arrived in the Galapagos sometime around 1898, and it was a similar strain based on the genetic material as what you see in cage canaries. So it's pretty interesting that something from 100 years ago can provide so much information today.
The skulls and skeletons from our collections also help give scientists new information about organisms. In the Center for Comparative Genomics, scientists obtain DNA from specimens and use it to compare different species. However, perhaps the most important role of the collections is to preserve specimens for future scientists.
So we don't actually know how the collections will help scientists in the future. We don't know what technologies will be developed 100 years from now, but our main goal is to make sure that these specimens still exist in that time frame. And it's our job to ensure that whatever technologies are developed in the future, they'll have the specimens to be able to do that work. Who knows?